What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Triple Z. I'm your host, Isaiah Henry. The Atlanta Hawks have changed the trajectory of their team, prioritizing how to correctly build a competitive unit around Trae Young. New General Manager Onsi Saleh has already made his presence felt within the organization, making confident moves that will position the Hawks to be contenders in the Eastern Conference. A couple weeks ago, the Hawks were involved in a three-team trade that sent Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Atlanta Hawks. The Celtics received George Niang and a 2031 second-round pick and cash consideration. And the Brooklyn Nets received Tre Mann and the Hawks' 22nd pick in the previous 2025 NBA draft. Kristaps Porzingis is the best center Trae Young has ever played with in his NBA career. Typically, Trae Young is paired with a center who is a rim runner, lob threat, can roll to the basket, and be physical grabbing rebounds. Porzingis brings a different dynamic to the Atlanta Hawks, being a pick and pop big that can stretch the floor, stop short around the nail for a mid-range jump shot, attack switches, shooting over the top of smaller defenders, backing them down, and drawing free throws. You combine that with the IQ of Trae Young, his pick and roll game, court mapping, and you're talking about an effective two-man game between Trae Young and Kristaps Porzingis. Another transaction was made during the 2025 NBA draft between the Hawks and New Orleans. Pelicans received the number 13 pick, which turned out to be Derek Queen. Atlanta traded down to get the number 23 pick, Asha Newell, and the biggest asset of this deal for Atlanta, an unprotected 2026 first-round pick, most favorable between the Pelicans and the Bucks. New Orleans won 21 games last year, were one of the worst teams in the entire NBA. DeJounte Murray is still coming off an Achilles injury, and Zion Williamson, their franchise player, has yet to show the evidence of staying on the court consistently. They're a young, inexperienced team in the Western Conference, and the rookie they just drafted at number 13, Derek Queen, just had surgery to repair a torn ligament in his left wrist, and he will be reevaluated in 12 weeks. Basically, what I'm trying to say, Atlanta could potentially have a lottery pick or a top 15 pick in their back pocket, which could be valuable during the trade deadline or during the 2026 NBA offseason. Excellent business move by the Atlanta Hawks. The signing of Nickeil Alexander-Walker on a 4-year, $62 million contract was genius. Another elite perimeter defender around Trae Young. His screen navigation, smart with his hands, plays hard, a pivotal component for the Wolves, appearing in the Western Conference Finals for the last 2 seasons. He can also be a connecting piece within the offense. Shot 38% from 3 on 4.5 attempts a game, can make good decisions with the basketball with his passing and his ability to attack closeouts, showed flashes of getting downhill and finishing around the basket. Last season, the Hawks lost DeAndre Hunter to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and this offseason, they lost Caris LeVert to the Detroit Pistons. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was one of the best role players, bench players in the entire NBA. He'll have no problem filling in that bench void for the Atlanta Hawks. I'm buying all the stock when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks. They understand that their best player is a 6'1" guard who is an excellent playmaker, facilitator, who led the league in assists last season, crafty on-ball scorer, but defensively has trouble holding his own. So Atlanta has built a team around Trae Young where he's surrounded with versatility and athleticism, either having Dyson Daniels or Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the backcourt, 2 elite defenders. Jalen Johnson put up good numbers last year, can be a point forward with his athleticism, his play in the short row, and being a talented young star. Risacher showed some positives last season that can be amplified for next year. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. Kristaps Porzingis is anchoring the defense. And to my knowledge, Atlanta is under both aprons, which is always a positive, meaning they have more flexibility to add to their current roster. It wouldn't surprise me if this team goes on another playoff run like they did back in 2021 and go even further this time. The only concern I have with the Hawks is the health of Kristaps Porzingis. Having a player of that size who is 7'1" can always be concerning in the back of your head. Most recently, it's been this respiratory virus that he's been dealing with that kept him out of regular season games and postseason games. I remember Joe Mazzulla came out during the second round versus the Knicks and said Kristaps Porzingis couldn't breathe, so he had to send him out during that game. But from my understanding, he is playing in the Eurobasket 2025 games. So that is a positive sign if you're a Hawks fan, meaning that Porzingis is confident in his body, he feels good, and he's ready to play basketball, which is good in the offseason for him to ramp up for the regular season and training camp. But it's always going to be in the back of your head of Porzingis' health. Can he play around 50 to 60 games? He's been missing games with leg injuries, the virus he's been dealing with. But if he's playing in the Eurobasket, that should make you feel confident that he's ready to go for the start of next season. And I would say it'll be good for them to acquire a backup point guard when Trae Young steps off the court. Like Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker can take on some of the ball handling responsibilities, but that's not their strongest skill set on the court. Kenny Beecham, who is the GOAT, said a couple of weeks ago that the Hawks should be top 10 in offense and defense. And doing some research, watching some film, I can get down with that statement. Like, offensively, this team can be interesting. You can run an angle pop action where Trae Young comes off a pick and roll, flips it back to Porzingis, and then you have Risacher and Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the strong side of the ball. Zacchaire Risacher was really good with his off-ball cuts, and if that option is not available for Kristaps Porzingis, he can then get into a dribble handoff with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and that's able to create movement within the Hawks offense. If teams decide to blitz Trae Young, Jalen Johnson is excellent in the short roll with his decision-making and passing, can find players on the backdoor cut, throw the lob pass, drive and kickouts to three-point shooters like Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard, Grayson Matthews, Trae Young. I expect to see Trae Young off the ball more with the new additions in the Atlanta Hawks system. Atlanta should be one of the best transition teams in the NBA. All the athleticism and versatility like Jalen Johnson, Risacher, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Dyson Daniels. Defensively, they can be a disruptive unit. Dyson Daniels finished top 3 in DPOY, made first team all defense. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is really good at the point of attack. Jalen Johnson, 6'5", is a good defender. Risacher playing in the gaps, getting steals and deflections. And if Kristaps Porzingis can stay healthy, you have a reliable rim protector anchoring the defense. Maybe this encouraged Trae Young to show a better effort on the defensive side. I want to read this quote from Onsi Saleh, the general manager for the Atlanta Hawks, that really stood out to me. He said, "We are just looking to build something that is consistent, that has continuity and stability for a long time instead of just being a one-hit wonder type of team. So we are trying to build this into a program, and the two places I come from were an example of that. Why not be a good team for a long time?" A general manager that is standing on business. From here on out, the Atlanta Hawks will be a competitive team with a convincing young core. They do have to figure out the extensions next season with Trae Young and Dyson Daniels, but they will figure that out. The Hawks' future looks very legit. I like them as contenders in the Eastern Conference, and this is the best time to be an Atlanta Hawks fan. Thank you guys for listening to Triple Z. Please like and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.